This is Trophy Gold, the Rime Palace, Part 1. That is R-I-M-E as in frost rhyme, not R-H-Y-M-E as in verse. I think I want to first have all of us introduce ourselves as players. So when I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like for us to know about you. I will start. My name is Jason. I use he, him. I am the co-publisher of Trophy Gold along with the game's creator, Jesse Ross. And I have run the Rime Palace several times. It's a fun incursion. It's a much more high fantasy incursion, which feels appropriate for what this group has been doing. And so I wanted to pick that one as this group's next incursion. Very excited to dive into it, though. Let's go to Kavya.
I'm Kavya. I use she, her pronouns. About a couple months ago, I started dipping my toes into this. Now I've just rabbit holed and now I'm playing everything I possibly can.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Let's go to David.
Hi, I'm David. I play Osto in this game. And I use he, they pronouns. Osto's he, him. And I run a little podcast called Trials of the Apocalypse, which plays different Powered by the Apocalypse games. And I've really enjoyed my time dipping into Trophy. I really like the system and I'm excited to play more.
Thank you so much. And Alicia.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I use she, they pronouns. I make games, which means I spend a lot of time on Twitter talking about games, but not that much time writing or playing them. Anyways, that's me.
You know you've made it when you do all three in equal measures. That's what I do. Okay, let's go ahead and... okay, so here's the thing. If you're watching this video, I would normally do like an introduction to Trophy Gold, and we would talk about lines and veils and subject matter and tone and all that stuff. But this group knows it really, really well. And so what I'm going to suggest you do, if you're watching this for that purpose, is you go back to another video in the playlist. I'm going to recommend the Temple of the Peerless Star Part 1, where you can hear me discuss the introduction if you just want to see how I do it. Also, the Temple of the Peerless Star adventure in the playlist is what happened before this one. So if you're looking for some continuity in the story, that's where you need to go back to. I do want to go ahead and introduce the characters again, though. And so if you could just, when I call on you, please tell us about your character, or whatever we know about them so far, or whatever you think is interesting to share. And yeah, so let's go ahead and start with, we'll start with Nevin.
All right, I'm playing Nevin. Nevin is the twin brother of Osto. Nevin is a woodcutter, and his drive is to free the kindly followers of the Piper, which we need to talk about that because I need the stuff for that, Jason, because I don't have any of that stuff. And he's a little bit of a himbo. He's a sweet guy with a heart of gold. But you know, big muscles first and foremost.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Well, let's go to Osto then.
Yes, I'll be Osto. Osto was, in what seems like a previous life to him at this point, a miner and blacksmith. But now he's been gifted glorious purpose by a, as of yet unknown god, to go and rebuild Hisham's fountain, which has been derelict for some time. And yeah, otherwise, important detail. They're of course brothers with Nevin, but also Esfahan, who will be introduced shortly. Osto and Esfahan now share an interesting bond as a spectral bull, which Osto related to, has now been kind of shared between the two of them, and so they have this connection.
Fabulous, thank you so much. And let's go to Esfahan.
Esfahan is an astrologer who was formerly a dancer, banished for reasons that have yet to be disclosed. And her drive is to become part of the Swirling Court, which we've established requires a fair bit of money and a fair bit of knowledge. So she is hungry for both wealth and knowledge.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's go. Let's talk about this incursion. I do want to say that it's probably been about 6 months since the group did the Temple of the Peerless Stars, so a fair amount of time has passed. And I think that it's probably Esfahan who learned about this opportunity. It doesn't seem like the kind of opportunity that Osto or Nevin would have stumbled onto. And so Esfahan might be the sort of unofficial leader of this particular incursion, given Esfahan's general disposition and interests. The Rime Palace. I'm going to read the introductory bit first. And this is kind of quasi out of character information. Your characters don't necessarily know all this. The Rime Palace is an elegant marble edifice hanging like a stalactite above a void pinpricked by icy stars. The only way to access it is an ancient ship made of bone and powered in a special way that I won't reveal quite yet. The palace itself was once the home of a court of cruel fae. Rumors say they are now scattered and dead, and their delicate treasures lie in chilly vaults, waiting to fulfill the burning desires of treasure hunters just like you. But will you be able to navigate its twisting passages of fog, lace, and glass before something important shatters in the palace or in you? Our first set is called the Teetering Graveyard. It has the goal: set sail in the bone ship. Ship Ardkin. Nestled in a mountain cleft, the Teetering Graveyard is an ancient site where many mounds of bones, human and otherwise, have been piled up. Scholars speculate they were offerings to long since forgotten gods. You're here following the rumor that Ardkin, the ship of bones, can be found within this boneyard. Now I have to tell you, this mountain cleft where the Teetering Graveyard is found is extremely cold. And I would like to know just at the outset how each of you deals with the cold. Like, how do you look different than you normally do, or how have you prepared normally than what you normally would? Think about it, and whoever wants to speak first, go for it.
Nevin is wearing a shirt. For actual though, I feel like I've got that classic, this reference is gonna be lost on everyone, like Muskoka dinner jacket, like plaid quilted situation, that's like nice and toasty warm, and I feel like he has like a very adorable toque on. The little
all these words sound like things from your benighted cold ass country, and so I don't know if they are.
Oh my gosh, you guys don't know what a toque is? And I think you guys would call it like a beanie, I guess.
Okay,
I don't know.
sure, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really think of that, but it's like a winter hat. And you covered your ears, and it's got a little pom pom on the top. It's a toque.
Like a muffler?
A muffler?
Does it have ear flaps?
You know what? I wasn't thinking it did. I was thinking it was more like a classic toque, but now, yes, it does have ear flaps.
And you'd like tie it under the chin to secure
Yeah, but he
it.
just leaves it like hanging.
I think 60 degrees Fahrenheit is too cold, so I have no intention of ever finding out what that is in person, but I do think that sounds amazing. All right, let's go to whoever wants to go next. Describe how you're dealing with the cold.
I think Osto's answer is simple. Osto's in the exact same outfit as Nevin. They have matching cold weather outfits. I do think his is a slightly different color though, just to make them more distinguishable. But
very good.
Maybe if Nevin's is like a sort of red checkered, Osto's is like a dark blue checkered or something like that.
Good. Esfahan.
Esfahan is wearing, instead of her normal light cloak, she's wearing a thicker cloak. She has those woolen fingerless gloves that cover like one joint that go to like the elbow. And her boots are, she doesn't have fur-lined boots, those are really expensive, but she's kind of stuffed something vaguely resembling fur into her boots to create that thermal effect. And she's just kind of clutching this cloak around herself.
I love it. Thank you. So I will tell you that there are these gigantic piles of bones. I mean, they're really big. They're like 5 or 6 people high, right? You can climb atop them. And the bones appear to be bones of people, of animals. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I'll tell you a few things in the environment. Up ahead, there's an especially large pile of bones, behind which you hear someone moaning in pain. This is somewhat unusual because you haven't seen anyone in days, like days and days. You have not seen anyone else. And so this is the first sign of life in a good while. There is another pile of bones, a little more irregularly shaped than the others. And this one has a single skeletal wing sort of emerging out of it, like a gigantic wing. It's really big, like you could lay across it, right? Maybe even 2 or 3 across it. Otherwise, loads of bones, big piles of bones everywhere. At one point, the sort of brisk mountain, wind catches a particularly tall pile of bones that begins to sway ominously, making a sound not unlike the sound of a rain stick. I love that detail, the clattering of bones. Maybe don't stand underneath that one. You can hear almost a cheery crunching noise under your boots, the crunch of snow and bones breaking underneath your boots. It's almost like stepping on bubble wrap. It's got that same quality to it. And perhaps most interestingly, there is no odor of decay whatsoever. It's as if the wind, the air has bleached the smell out of this place. It's a very, very clean smell despite all the bones. And I guess at this point, I'd just like to go around the table and find out what everyone's interested in doing. Actually, let's just start with a bit of a scene of all of you arriving. Let's just have that scene.
Does anyone else feel like this looks like a place where Jeremy's would be?
I think Jeremy's live deeper underground.
Yes, where they can hide among their hordes of stolen treasure.
And stolen girlfriends.
Those two.
I feel like I'm like pointing out really excitedly the bones of like different kinds of animals that I recognize along the way. Very into it.
I think Osto, like we're sort of trudging on higher up, deeper into this place, and I think at one point Osto kind of stops while he's looking at a pile of the bones. It is very cold here. The air wishes to freeze us solid. Where is all the flesh?
Maybe something ate it?
I don't want to meet this something.
After the snake, I don't want to meet anything larger than us.
It could be very small. It could be many rabbits.
Does it actually, can we look and see? Can I look and see if anything like ate? Are there like gnaw marks on the bones or anything like that?
Make a hunt roll.
Can I use my beasts? Do I get more for hunt? I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, go for it. Nice, 6 light. Take your token. I will tell you that yes, you do see some gnaw marks on some of the bones. It's a fairly small number, though, relative to the rest of the bones. In fact, most of these bones seem almost like bleached or like, and like you're starting to get the sense that like everything was like kind of placed here in a intentional way. I will remind you, Esfahen and Osto, of the moaning voice, the moaning in pain coming from one of the piles of bones ahead. Osto, what do you do?
It is the creature. And he'll like draw his cudgel and he'll like slowly advance to go around the side of it and see what's there.
Esfahen is just kind of half hiding behind Nevin, but also falling because she does want to know what's here. But sorry, half behind Osto. But Osto is a better fighter character than she is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good.
It's rabbit season.
Indeed. You go around the pile of bones and you can see that there is a woman leaning up against the pile of bones. She has had her right foot cleanly severed off. You don't see the foot anymore, but you do see the spray of blood on the stone or on the bone in the snow. She has a crossbow at the ready. And she startles when you come around. She like whips the crossbow around and says, "Who are you? Don't make another move."
Whoa. I mean you no harm. I just heard the noise you were making and thought you were a wounded animal.
She says, "Well, I'm certainly a wounded something, aren't I?" She says, "If I were you, I wouldn't dally here. There are creatures most foul. They blend in rather well." Esfahan, you can be aware of this as well.
I think Osto is in a mild panic looking around him to see if he sees anything.
Make a hunt roll.
Okay. I don't think I have anything that helps with this.
Now's the
No,
safest
not
time to
really.
roll one, so.
Yep. Hunt one. There's a 3.
You will encounter something terrible. I'll tell you this. Since it's a 3, not a 2 or a 1. Across the way, you see the body of a man, also fairly fresh from the look of the blood everywhere. Clearly was in the middle of being dismembered by something. But there's a crossbow bolt sticking out of his chest as well.
Okay. I think Osto seeing that will like I think he's like living on T-Rex logic where like if I move slowly enough it won't see me. And he like turns slowly to the wounded it was a woman with a crossbow,
It's
right?
a woman, yeah.
Yeah. He turns to her. What happened to your leg?
She says, "There's creatures that got my husband." She looks towards the body. They managed to get this much of me, but they ran off, I guess, when they heard you. So I suppose I have that to thank you for.
A creature with a crossbow? Because
No.
you have the only crossbow I see.
And a little smile goes on her mouth, and she says, "I put him out of his misery."
Osto turns to Esfahan and Nevin. We should move on.
Yeah, we can move on. Do you not want to take care of her, though? She seems pretty bad.
She says, "I'm a very good shot with a crossbow. I may not be much for running and pulling, but set me up somewhere and I can hit a target clean and true."
I think Osto will just look, make a meaningful look to Esfahan, to Nevin. I think he's unsure whether or not we should help her or whether or not we should try to carry on. I think he's not so sure when that crossbow bolt hit her husband.
Esfahan doesn't trust her either, but I have this meta hilarious idea of just her strapped to one of your backs and just shooting a crossbow as we're moving.
Does any of us have any experience? I mean, like, all of us could probably try to treat her leg.
Yeah, I mean, you can just do like basic, like first aid or wrapping, helping wrap the wound so she doesn't bleed out. Certainly, I don't think that even requires a roll or anything. It's really just going to come down to like whether you want to take the time to do it or not. But you're here to find this ship, and you're no closer to that. So I will point out that she was probably here to find the ship too. There's no other reason to be up here, right?
Yeah.
We could just prop her up and leave her there. But also, I don't trust her to not shoot us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, then she'll shoot us in the back. What if I liked your idea. What if we try to strap her to like Osto's back with her back facing the other way, and so she can't very easily. As long as Osto walks in the back.
Are walking in front of,
I like it. I will tell you mechanically, in a fight, whoever is carrying her will have to roll an extra weak point, but you do get an extra combat die with her as well. Okay. So that's a thing.
Yeah, I think Osto will like bend down. He'll seem unsure, but he will bend down and like start trying to treat her leg and getting that, just trying to stop the bleeding, getting that better squared away. Probably takes, if there's like a piece of ice, he'll like press it up against the wound to try to get it to seal shut from the cold.
As you're doing all this, she says, "Are you here looking for the legendary bone ship Ardken?"
Osto will look at Esfahan. Is that the one? Is there another bone ship?
Who knows? Maybe there are a number of them, but I believe Ardken was the name of the one we were looking for.
She says, "The legendary bone ship Ardken, which is supposed to be up here somewhere in the legendary Teetering Graveyard on top of this legendary mountain. And if we find the bone ship, it will take us to the legendary Rime Palace." Sorry if I'm feeling a bit cynical. It's just, well, I had to kill my husband just now, and I'm missing a foot. But I do thank you for coming along when you did, and for this contraption that you are rigging for me. Point me at the bad guys, and I'll put a bolt through their eye.
Well, In exchange for our help, I'm happy to have you watching our backs.
She says, I will tell you that before we were beset by these creatures, we did find a pile of bones that had a strange sound from the others being somewhat solid, and this pile seeming weirdly hollow, with lots of wind passing through it.
Well, everything
point us
looks
to that?
the same here, so anything that's different.
Yeah, she'll point you to it. It's just another pile of bones. It looks fairly indescript as far as the other ones go. The only two that really stand out are the one that has the wing and then the one that she was moaning behind. The rest are just like probably about a dozen. And she points to the one and she says, that one there, the wind blows through it much more cleanly than the others.
Espan's gonna go examine it. Try to figure out some kind of summoning totem, or you can go through it.
Sure, yeah. We'll come back to that in a minute. Nevin, what are you doing right now?
Good question. I am looking at the woman with concern. I don't think she can be trusted.
She tells you her name is Aditha, by the way.
Yeah, I introduce myself. I say that I'm Nevin. And I think I'm just going to tell her point blank, I'm like, I don't trust you.
She says,
my brother is very trusting.
She says, you are wise not to trust me. I don't trust you, but I don't have any choice. And at the very least, I've told you something that's potentially useful. This is the nature of learning how to trust people, a give and take.
Yes. I like creatures. And those two over there. And I'm just going to sort of gesture to Osto and Esfahan.
She says, right. Esfahan, you're investigating the hollow sounding pile. What are you doing exactly? How are you investigating it?
So first she's going to try to look at it, see if there's anything different, which I don't think she sees anything, but then she's going to try to kind of knock on it and put her ear to it and knock on it and see what's happening there.
Make a hunt roll, that works.
I don't think I have anything that helps with this skill-wise.
Yeah, unless you have something from your, well, you can also use equipment too to get the second die, but, and you have your open slots if you want to just like find something in your pack.
I think I'll just go for it like normally.
Go for it, one die. I'm not seeing the result. I think maybe
I got a 2.
I probably need to refresh. Sometimes it seems like it needs to be refreshed. All right, a 2. You encounter something terrible. Crawling down from the top of the bone pile, Esfahan. So capable is it that it doesn't even like cause the bones to like shift or fall. And it's gotten really close to you before you realize it's there. Is a sort of ape-shaped creature with sort of leathery hide, very like spindly fingers, a thin mat of white fur. It's kind of neatly, carefully going down the pile of bones. And it has a bone sticking out of its mouth. And you can tell that it's like sucking the marrow out of it as it looks at you. It's just making this like. And Osto and Nevin, you will notice that there are 3 more of these creatures crawling in, cordoning the three of you, well, the four of you, Editha as well. Editha says, mind your ankles. And you can hear her readying her crossbow behind you, Osto. This is a combat 9. I just need to know how you're vulnerable and roll weak point, please.
I think Osto is vulnerable because he'd set down his cudgel to treat the wound. And so all he has is like his gauntlets.
Yeah, go for it. Roll weak point.
I think Esfahan is vulnerable.
Nice, 6.
Oh no.
Yeah, 6 is bad.
I think Esfahan is vulnerable. Because it got really close to her before she noticed it. So there is the surprise factor of, oh, they showed up out of nowhere, but she's also kind of really taken aback by, oh God, it is right there. Oh fuck, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's great. Go ahead. 2. Nevin, how are you vulnerable?
I think that I've just got like a little bit of my one-track mind going on. I'm just really focused on like what creatures would be in here, but I'm not thinking like monsters. I'm thinking like rabbits because Oso put that in my head. So I'm just like very focused on that. So I think in a way like Espan, I'm just kind of surprised. I'm taken aback. It's not what I was expecting. Where are my cute bunnies?
I love it. Roll weak. All right, 5. We have a 6, a 5, and a 2. And I will also remind you, Osto, you have to roll second weak point for Editha. All right, a 2. So you have a 2. So 2 is a bad number, and then 6 and 5. It's going to be a combat 4, though. So Esfahan, go ahead and roll the combat 4. Nice. You got a 6, a 4, a 2, and a 1. Whoever has a 2 weak point, you're taking 1 ruin. Osto, you're also taking a ruin from the 6. But Osto, if you mark armor, it clears it both. It obviates both, or it eliminates both ruin that you would have taken. So if you're going to do that, just work it into your narration. But Esfahan, get us started. What does this fight look like in the beginning? And you got a 6 and a 4, which means you're going to defeat these creatures. Ultimately.
So Esfahan, seeing this like inches from her face, she scrambles backwards and pulls out a knife and just immediately, instinctively throws. And it hits.
Nice.
But at the same time, she kind of scrambles into the path of another one and it scratches her or bites her. I'm not sure which is, yeah.
They bite, yeah. They're just, and they go for your legs. They always go for your legs. And I might give you a condition to go through ruin. I haven't decided yet, but we'll come back to that in a moment. Keep it going, Nevin.
Yeah, I think that Nevin is pretty quick on the draw, sort of like hatchet there on his hip. And so I just like pull it out and I think I do a cool swing and I do like a little like spin around and I just like slash through one.
Nice, I like it. And Osto, you get to finish the fight along with Editha. I can handle Editha if you want, but
I mean, I think Editha's she already loaded her crossbow, so she probably just takes aim at one, nails it right between the eyes. But there's like 2 more that are coming up from the side, and Osto, again, like his cudgel's to the side. It's far enough away that if he went to go grab it, he's worried they would, get him while his back is turned. So he just kind of lunges over Editha's body and swings. And I think he dispatches with them fairly quickly. Like he gets a couple of good, sort of headshots in with his heavy fists and takes care of them rather quickly. How I'm going to roll, I'm going to use armor to get rid of damage here so I don't take 2 ruin. But I think his studded gauntlets, like as he's like really pounding these creatures, he's realizing that like they're very cold. And I think like their blood, like it's not warm blood. It's almost like the fluid you'd get in a heat spreader where it's very temperature sensitive and it sucks the heat right out of his gauntlets. And so they become like ice. I think his skin almost begins to frostbite and he has to like take them off and put them in his pack because they are just way too cold to actually use now.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, it's really good. Let's have a gold roll. Osto, go ahead and roll a gold 9.
Only one.
You'll be able to retrieve one useful thing from these creatures. Whoever wants to name that thing can do so. And then you can give it away or keep it however you wish. It might be a collective thing, like all their teeth or something, or whatever.
I mean, Osto certainly bashed some faces in, so a collection of these creatures' teeth, especially if they're particularly sharp, I could see selling.
They're very sharp. They cleave through bone, like they're really, really sharp. You can go ahead and put their teeth. Whoever, are you going to keep them for 1 gold?
Yeah, I'll hold on to it. Sure.
Sounds good. You get to name these creatures as well, group. So, Esven, I will tell you that because of the bite that you got on your leg, you're going to have a limp. So put the condition limp. You can still get around, but you're just a little slower. Editha says, well, it's too bad that their fur is so patchy and thin. Otherwise, their hides might make for good trading. As it is, they're just sort of ghoulish, toothy orangutans or chimpanzees. And the less I have to look at them, the better.
I think, like, still kind of like rubbing his hands together to try to warm them back up. Osto will look to Nevin and Esfahan. These ones do not look very much like Jeremy's to me. What creatures are these?
I mean, I know sometimes people think I am much too literal, but that one was sucking on the bone, so maybe it is bone sucker.
I was going in the exact same direction.
Osto looks down
eating marrow.
Yeah, narrows his eyes. Bone suckers.
Very good. I have indicated both Jeremy's and bone suckers on the bestiary. So that they are permanent information that all future treasure hunters will have access to. They shall speak far and wide of the treacherous Jeremys and bone suckers. Good. So, okay, well, here we are. Esfahan, back to this pile of the more hollow sounding pile. What do you do now that you're able to get back to it?
Now she's a little bit injured and a little bit mad about it, so she's just gonna kick it, just gonna draw back, and the stronger leg, she's just gonna vaguely balance on the other one and then just quick kick it once.
Make a hunt roll.
Can I make an argument for grace? Because I need to be graceful to not fall on my face with this limp.
I'll take it. That's sure. Fine. Yeah, go for it. Nice. 6. Take a token. That works. You kick the pile of bones and they begin to clatter down. And they almost like fall away to reveal a ship, or I should say a vaguely ship-shaped pile of bones. It is the size of a small clipper, and it has no masts and no sails. It has a deck that is made of many, like thousands of little interconnected, like bone mandalas, all kind of connected, that make up the deck of the ship. And then the the sort of Jesus Christ, former sailor, what's that called? The ballast of the ship, the bottom part of the ship is all, it's like a rib cage. It's just like a big solid rib cage with nothing in it. You can look right through it. That's the hollow part that was allowing the wind to come through. But the bones themselves of the rib cage, which are titanic in size, by the way, they are covered with scrimshaw, fine carving all along. This is almost certainly Ardkin, unless whoever created this place is playing a terrific joke on you. It does not have mast or sails, but it does have a single skeletal wing jutting out of one side. It is clearly missing a wing, and you saw another wing in another pile of bones. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and pick up from there. Now, you have uncovered Ardkin. Aditha says, well, my husband and I came up here and looked around for several hours, and then he was killed. And you all got here and managed to find it in less than 10 minutes. Congratulations. But it looks as if it's seen better days. And indeed, it's missing a wing. There's a wing sticking out of the other bone pile, though. Osto and Nevin, what do you do?
I think Osto looks over at Nevin. Think we can, get it back on there?
I don't see why not. We are strong like ox.
And together we will make the ship fly once again? I'm realizing that air is also a fluid, and perhaps instead of sailing on the seas, it sails in the air instead.
This is surprisingly insightful coming from Osto, I feel like, but maybe he's the smarter of the two brothers. Well, so what do you do?
Well, I think Nevin is the smarter of the two. Nevin knows more rituals than Osto does. You just have to know about your fluid dynamics when you're doing metallurgy, but... okay, do you think Osto and Nevin goes and tries to pick up this wing, carry it back over?
Yeah, I think getting up and getting your hands on the wing is probably going to create a bunch of noise as the bones shift around and get knocked around, and then you have to sort of hoist this thing to get it over to the ship. I feel like this is probably a risk roll. Whoever wants to be the principal roller, just say so. I don't think it really matters. The other person can do a help roll if we feel like it's needed. So who wants to be the roller here?
Could I argue for use of my path skill and basically try to chart a course that'll minimize the noise and...
Oh, intriguing. Yeah, I'm kind of interpreting the idea of paths of moving one thing from one place to another more easily. I'm kind of into it. I like it. Okay, so Alicia and Kavya, what could go wrong here? Any thoughts?
I think that you could create a sort of bone avalanche from one of these mounds of bones.
I was thinking something.
Yeah, mine was similar, just to slip on the bones and...
Yeah, I like bone avalanche too. Okay, so that sounds like it's going to be the problem. Let's talk about dice. I'll give you that skill for your first light die. Devil's bargains. I'll remind you, a devil's bargain is something that happens no matter what if David decides to accept it. But in exchange, you get a light die for your die pool. I'm going to say no matter what, there is a bone sucker sucking on the end of the wing. Like you pull him out and he's there sucking the marrow out of the wing.
I'm going to say that no matter what, because of how unwieldy it is, the wing ends up slightly cracked.
I'm going to say that no matter what, something about the way the wing or the bones around it are sort of laying out in a pattern. Remind you of a dream you had about Hisham's fountain. I feel like there's like something is like calling you. You've seen that before related to Hisham's fountain.
That's a lot of fun. I like that.
Oh yeah, I think that one definitely sounds fun. I think I'll take that.
You have 2 light dice. I think that'll do for now. Go ahead and roll risk 2.
All right. So 2 light, 0 dark.
Yeah, you only put a dark in if what you're doing is like inherently dangerous or risking your mind or body. And I don't think you're necessarily doing that yet.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you got a 2, which means you fail. You can add a dark die if you'd like to roll them again.
I would love to.
Right, so roll 2 light, 1 dark.
Okay. At least we got a success. I rolled a 6, but it's on the dark die, so my ruin goes up.
Your ruin goes up, but you do succeed. You will be able to get the bone and bring the bone over to it. It's intact, and so you'll be able to like fit it into the part of the ship. Just give us that whole scene. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think Osto like goes to one end, Nevin goes to the other side. They like it takes a couple of pulls before they dislodge it from this mound of bones. Like there's of course a small skittering of bones as they're scattered by this action, and then Osto I think takes the point and like sort of directs their way down this mound, making their way over to where the ship is. Not making a ton of noise past that point, but as they're like going and hoisting the wing into position and like trying to get it to reconnect to the ship, I think Osto just kind of like stops moving, and like Nevin takes it the rest of the way with his own strength, as Osto like is kind of beset by these visions flashing through his mind of like remembrances from his original command from this god that spoke to him. And like he sees this ship aloft in the air. He sees like the etchings on the outside of the rib cage, and like as the wing, I suppose, slots into position, he just and he like turns to Esfahan. Thank you for taking us to this place. I believe that my destiny lies within.
I think we have to account for your ruin increase, and I think it's going to be more of just like a psychological thing where you are now like fully locked into this incursion, whereas before you might be more tempted to get away. Now you're getting closer to being like caught up in it. I'm going to give you a condition as well called your destiny, or my destiny. Fixing the ship is fairly easy. I'm not going to require a roll. I do think that like it will need something to like sort of hold the wing in place, because it can be slotted in, but it needs to be like strapped in essentially like into the socket. And so as long as somebody like uses something from their equipment, either from their drop down or from whatever they have in their pack to start with, that would be great.
I can use one of my empty slots to get bandages, I think.
It should work. Yeah, I like it. Okay. But yeah. I think you're all on the deck of Ardkin, standing on those interlocked bone mandalas that make up the deck, when the wing is finally cinched into place. The wings are very long. Like on the longest point of these skeletal wings, you could probably lay like 3 people across, right? But as soon as the wing is in place, the ship sort of shifts and rights itself a bit, and the wings like kind of spread out a bit, and you all hear this very like melodic, disembodied voice. It says, "Welcome to Ardken. Speak aloud an uncomfortable truth. in order to give these wings flight.
Question, is Editha on board with us?
She is. Because she's strapped to Osto.
Editha, you want to take this one?
She says, I have a feeling we all have to speak an uncomfortable truth. It conforms to a rumor I heard before heading out to this place. It all makes sense now. Ardkin, or those who built it, like to hear your darkest secrets. Something tells me just one of us speaking our darkest secrets isn't going to get us very far, isn't going to satisfy whoever is demanding this.
Heaven forbid it does.
Depends on how dark your secret is.
I promise to speak my secret, but maybe you go first.
Osto stands up a little straighter. Oh, and I have to think of a good secret for this. This is a
Tying
fun
it to your
prompt.
drive is always a good move.
Yeah. He stands up a little straighter, and then like he thinks about it. It's like a full silent 30 seconds as he like looks like he's going to say something. And then I think it finally clicks with him what he needs to say, and he seems a bit more sheepish. And then he just kind of says quietly, I do not actually know what Hisham's fountain is.
That's very good. As soon as you speak the words, you all can look down into the sort of, interior hull of the ship. The deck is got gaps in it so you can look through, and the ship itself is just a big rib cage. And that rib cage starts to be filled with smoke. The smoke is a color that reflects the words spoken by Osto. The smoke also has a smell that represents the words spoken by Osto. Alicia, what color is the smoke? Kavya, what does the smoke smell like?
I think the smoke is a shimmering gold color.
I think it smells kind of thick, but not super heavy, kind of like a light sandalwood incense with maybe a little top note of something lighter, like aloe vera. Which is a very disgusting mix of scents, but that's where we were.
I love it. Aditha says, I think it's working. Well, who wants to go next?
I think that it's really hard for Nevin to think of a dark secret because Nevin is the kind of character who really doesn't have any shame, So I feel like I'm thinking so hard. And then it kind of dawns on him and he looks up and he says, one time it was very cold and I did not give shelter to a visitor.
Kavya, what color is the new smoke? And David, what does it smell like?
this very pale shade between lavender and sky blue.
And I think it smells like dead tissue. Like I'm thinking like sort of frostbitten limbs.
Aditha says, well, I do hope you or I, to you, Esfahan, I hope that our little secret produces a vapor that is a little bit more appetizing to the nose. What's your dark secret then?
Esfahan was kind of hoping that Aditha would go first, but she's looking at Aditha and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So she's going to kind of look down at the smoke and then look back up, look past all of them. So she doesn't have to see their faces and say, I fear that the countless number of people that I have killed that I had killed to earn my place in court will deny me my place in the swirling court.
Editha says, oh, a murderess. Very interesting indeed. David, what color is the smoke? And Alicia, what does it smell like?
I think the color is like mica powder in water. It's like shimmery, glistening a little bit. It has a swirling pattern to it.
And I think the smell, bear with me here, is the way that blood tastes. Tinny, metallic, lingers in your nostrils.
Yeah. Aditha says, all right. Well, I didn't put a crossbow bolt into my husband's chest in order to ease his pain. I did it so that those creatures would have an easier time to getting to him so that I could escape.
I'm gonna lean over to Osto and be like, I thought she was supposed to tell a secret.
The ship begins to be filled with this sort of black, acrid smoke that mingles with all the other smokes and all the other scents. And then you all just feel this like sort of rushing sensation in your stomachs. The ship itself doesn't even seem to move. It's like the whole world moves away from the ship rather than the ship moving to wherever it's going. The mountain just like sort of rapidly drops out from beneath you. The stars, the sky are passing over and around you. The atmosphere becomes a rushing swirl of black and starlight and purple. And then you find yourself in a place you have some familiarity with, Esfahan, the Gossamer Void. The Gossamer Void. A silvery expanse. Endless in all directions, with just little islands of rock floating here and there as far as the eye can see. And now the ship appears to be moving steadily of its own accord through the Gossamer Void. The Gossamer Void that is the medium between worlds and dimensions. You have accomplished your previous set goal, and you now have a new set goal in the Gossamer Void, which is to dock the bone ship and enter the palace. But let's talk about it first. Traveling in Ardkin is oddly comfortable, like being rocked in the embrace of a bony but gentle grandmother. After a time, you feel a rush of cold air and realize that Ardkin has arrived just outside the Rime Palace. Above you is a desolate landscape of lunar dust. Below you is a void pinpricked by icy stars. The Rime Palace is an elegant marble edifice that hangs over this void like stalactites. It is indeed my background. The gleaming exterior of the palace reflects light from the stars below and from faint clouds that float lazily through this void. The ship seems to be gently circling the palace. As it circles, you see the very tip of one of these hanging towers break off and plummet endlessly into the void. You hear sounds coming from the palace, like pings of falling water droplets, but they have form and shape, almost like music, like a symphony. As the ship circles around, you see three places that might be places you can dock the ship. The first is a grand balcony. With a ring of thin, standing slabs of marble around the edge. The second is a bridge connecting two towers, and this bridge seems to be made of tangled antlers. And it has thousands of tiny blue-gray moths flitting around it. The third is a wall of lace, delicate lace wall on one side of the palace, and a green-violet glow can be faintly glimpsed through the gaps in the lace, and that glow appears to be a little landing area that's lit with some orbs. You might be able to maneuver the ship there. Esfahan, you are able to control the ship. You can feel you have some control over it. It's a psychic process. Tell me about, just narrate a little bit as you realize that you have control over it, that you're able to make it, able to make it like turn and dip and, back and forth, tilt and yaw. How do you realize that?
So Esfahan is on guard because she and Revel barely made it out of here the first time. And so she's kind of stiffened, and as they're drawing closer to the palace, she's kind of mentally being like, oh no, this is going to be horrible. We cannot go there. And as she's thinking this, the boat is slowly slowing down. And she realizes this, and she's like, wait a second. And so experimentally, she's like, what if I wanted to go faster? And somehow, some reason, she doesn't understand why it's her when Osto and Nevin were the ones who placed the wing in. It does speed up a little. And she turns to Osto and Nevin and she says, and Editha, but eh. So she turns to Osto and Nevin and says, I think I can control the ship a little.
You serve as our guide then to entering the palace. Where do you think safest to land?
The lace wall seems risky. It seems too delicate, and I'm not too well versed in the ways of sailing.
Jason, can you remind me what the other two were?
Yeah. So you have the lace wall. Behind the lace wall is the landing. You have the Bridge of Horn, which is made up of tangled antlers and surrounded by blue-gray moths. And then you have the grand balcony, which seems like the most obvious place to land. It's very, very big. And it has a ring of thin standing slabs of marble all around it.
There is a sizable landing area there, it seems.
It seems like our best bet. I mean, I don't trust those moths.
The fauna here has not been pleasant so far.
Aditha says, "Forgive me, but the balcony seems like the most obvious place to land, which therefore means it's probably a trap. Surely you are talented enough adventurers to deduce that."
Talented enough adventurers we may be, but I'm not a talented enough sailor. I fear that if we go for any of the other two, we'll just crash into it.
She says, "Well, I don't really have a say, but I'm glad we got this far. At least, if I'm going to die, I shall die looking at this." And she does seem actually genuinely awed by the Rime Palace. It is quite a sight.
I wonder if I could help Esfahan with the navigation with my trails strength.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly I mean, we could do this two different ways. You could just be like in charge of the die roll, or you can do a help roll if Esfahan is in charge. It kind of depends on what we think is really it. Like, what's the important action, the actual physical control of the ship or the navigation to the landing place. I'll let the two of you decide.
I'm just wondering if it maybe then opens up, like, so we're like, oh, we go to the big one because it's the obvious landing place. It's a little bit easier. If we choose another one, maybe my ability to navigate would be beneficial in that regard.
Honestly, meta, I would prefer to go to one of the other ones as opposed to the gigantic obvious balcony. From what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like controlling the ship is that big an issue. It seems very thought dependent. So I think navigating would be the bigger issue there. I am not used to navigating something that's this large.
Yeah. I'm terribly suspicious of those moths. As far as like a middle ground that isn't quite as potentially an obvious trap as the balcony, I like the lace curtain myself.
I also feel good about the lace curtain.
It feels like the moths ate whatever was attached to those antlers, and then they're just waiting for something else.
Who of the three of you has the most experience with hunting?
Probably Nevin.
Probably me. Yeah, I basically live in the forest and chop down trees.
Nevin, I will tell you that the bridge, you see at one end of the bridge, set ornamentally at the end of the bridge, are what appears to be a pair of elder stag horns. Elder stag horns are legendary. They would be worth an incredible amount of money. You know they're elder stag horns because they're huge, and they have a faint luminescence to them. They say that the gods themselves carve symbols into the horns of the elder stags. You know, if you're just trying to decide where to go.
I mean, yeah, obviously I will relay the information, but also be like, maybe we could still land at the Lace Curtain and then make our way to the horns eventually.
I know that it's a rumored Fey dwelling, but at least from the outside, how navigable does this palace actually look?
Well, the thing is it does look pretty vast and big. You also know that it is formerly, well, allegedly formerly, the home of a Fey court, and the Fey are very, very tricky. You get the distinct impression that you are currently acting as an amusement for said Fey court. But, you know, so interpret all that however you wish.
I mean, look. Obvious trap is obvious. Horns seem like part of trap. Yeah, okay, we all need the money. I mean, Nevin would like to have a house eventually, but maybe we'll find other things worth a lot of money. Buy the lace. Also, the lace will make a very good shirt.
I was going to say we should take the lace itself.
So it sounds like we've settled on the lace wall. It is a place where the marble of the palace's walls gives way to what appears to be mere lace. And the lace itself completely covers the opening to this landing. The landing is lit by 6 spun glass orbs full of green and purple light. They look kind of like an aurora borealis. You will have to go through the lace in order to reach the landing. It looks quite delicate.
Not saying this actually happens, but Esfahan is a dancer. She just has Osto and Nevin launch her. She grabs the lace and rolls and lands on the ground.
I think we have to get close first with the roll, Nevin. It's a risk roll. And I think that's, yeah, we'll say, okay, here's where the collaborative storytelling really kicks in. Kavya and David, what do you think could go wrong here?
There's the obvious, we navigate into the side of the palace instead of where we're trying to go.
I think that the curtain could look like lace, but it's actually solid ice.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar, like the lace is a trap. Okay, let's talk about dice. You got your first light die, Nevin. Let's talk about Devil's Bargains. Does anyone have a bargain?
No matter what, that lace is ruined forever.
No matter what, you like one of the wings of the ship, probably the one that was already damaged, gets clipped on entry, and it's without retrieving that broken wing, we cannot leave this place the way we came.
I like that one. I'll second that one.
Yeah, I'll take broken wing. Feels thematic, so.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do 2 light and I think 1 dark. This is because this is inherently dangerous. Go ahead and take it away.
Not bad.
Sorry, I looked away for a minute. Yeah, 6 light doesn't get better than that. I'll tell you what's going to happen with the wing, but you can otherwise describe how you land the ship safely. As the ship essentially, like, as you touch the lace is actually kind of like a sticky mesh, and it's trying to tangle the ship. You're able to guide Esfahan enough, like through the gaps and such, to like make your way through it to get to the landing. But one of the wings will get caught up in the mesh and get pulled off. So the ship lands without a wing. But otherwise, with that knowledge, Nevin, describe the rest of the scene. How do you get there?
Yeah, I think that it starts very slowly. I feel like kind of comically slowly because I'm so afraid we're gonna mess it up. So it's just like, you know, wide angle, and the ship is just like inching towards the lace very slowly. And I'm concentrating so hard to make sure that I'm gonna like line it up exactly right. And so I actually think I'm a little surprised by like the meshiness of the lace. I wasn't really expecting that. But as the lace like stretches and things like that, I think it breaks in some places in those holes. And so I can sort of take the ship through that way. And I think it's like a bumpy ride as we're like navigating through the lace. You know, you gotta like hold on to something a little bit. But I do believe it's a perfect landing. Like it's just like a nice slow descent right onto the little like landing pad. The little orbs are like lining the way as if it's like an airplane thing. We just come to like a perfect slow rolling stop.
Nice. You are on the landing, which I'll remind you is lit by 6 spun glass globes filled with green and purple light. And the landing itself leads to what appears to be a pair of large double doors that go into the interior of the palace. Osto, what do you do?
Do these globes look valuable?
Yeah, I think so. They're very fragile, but if you can like, I guess, like rig something up that would allow them to be safe as you carry them around, I think you would be able to sell them back for quite a bit. They're magical in nature, so if nothing else.
I think since they're in the same area as where we've landed the ship, I think rather than carry them around with him, he might just try to like take them and put them on the ship, assuming that we fix it before we leave.
Yeah, you can put you can put them all on the ship. The whole set in total is worth 2 gold. Make a note that they're on the ship though. So
yeah.
If you don't,
I'll mark that down.
Ship, yeah.
That's we'll get that gold if we leave this way.
Precisely, yeah. It's an enticement to come back to your broken ship, right? Esven, what do you do?
Esfahan is very cautiously trying to step off the ship. She's not entirely sure that this is not a trap, even though there's obviously the 2 obvious traps. She's worried that this is a 3rd trap. And so she's very gingerly stepping off, kind of putting 1 foot down, seeing if anything happens, then just stepping down.
It's fine so far. Then what?
Well, first she turns, looks at the ship. I think we lost a wing. We're gonna need that.
I think that is a problem for future Osto.
I will tell you that you can see the wing. The wing is caught up in the lace. Getting to it will be kind of a trick, though. You're going to have to figure out a way to first get over to the lace and then climb the lace and then get the wing unstuck and bring it back down. Not an easy thing.
We got the wing before. We can do it again. Strong like ox. I don't know about everybody else, but I feel like Nevin thinks it's very polite to like knock before you enter someone's home. So he's just like straight up striding towards the doors and like gonna knock on them.
Nothing happens. There's no response.
I think we should just go in, Nevin. It's
That is not
probably fine.
polite.
Well,
They let us land, so
I'm sure they heard you. They know we've come.
Aditha says, if there are any moldering, insane fae creeping about, my crossbow's ready.
Well, let's hope that against such an enemy, your crossbow would be effective.
Do you go inside?
And the doors are the only like apparent way.
The only apparent way in.
Yeah. Yeah, then let's go.
Doors open up into a tunnel that has a faint blue glow. It's very cold. And as you step inside the tunnel, you complete the set goal, having entered the palace and landed the ship safely, or landed the ship safely and into the palace. And we'll pick up in 5. Rime Palace. You don't have a new set goal yet. I will tell you that there appears to be no rhyme or reason to how the interior of this place is laid out. It is twisting corridors of fog, lace, frosty glass. You follow them for a time. You take lefts, you take rights. You're not sure where any of it's going or where you're meant to be going. You had mentioned wanting to get back to that bridge from the interior of the palace, and I think that's a worthy thing to do. You're going to need a good justification for how you can find your way back, though. Either something about, I don't know, either a relevant skill or a magic item or a ritual, possibly, if you have a relevant ritual. Otherwise, you're going to just follow these corridors and halls until I get you where you're supposed to be or wherever you end up. So what do you think?
So I have my trails skill, but I also have the door ritual.
What does that do?
Draw a door on a solid barrier to create a portal through it.
Oh, interesting. So I think maybe what it needs is you like just walk through to a place where you would not normally be able to walk through, but I'm open to the idea of the door leading to a place where you want it to go, especially in this.
I mean, we're in the Gossamer Void,
this
right?
magic place, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm into it. If you want to do it, yeah, I think it's great. I like that a lot.
What does everyone else think?
Yeah, I was thinking you also might be able to lean on your trail skill and like leave markers or something for us to follow or something like that. But I mean, I love the idea of a dimensional door, so.
yeah, it makes sense that you'd be able to extend your door a little more because of your specialties.
Yeah, and I think it's just the mere fact that you're in the Gossamer Void too. I think that's a big part of it. I don't think it would work this way necessarily in the real world, right? I'm into it. I like it. I like trails as a like sort of, okay, in order to find our way back to wherever we started, this is how we do it. Yeah,
So I'll sort of like leave it up to the group then, either way. Like, I'm happy to ritual it and like portal us over there, or use my trails ability and navigate.
I think the door might be the best bet. Navigation to the place is probably going to be really difficult and maybe impossible because you're not meant to like be able to navigate this place. The Fae don't want you to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what could go wrong here. if this dimensional door ritual, if the roll goes poorly. The ritual might go great, but the roll goes poorly. What do we think, David and Kavya?
I think this place might have like a honeypot situation sort of built in where you open up the portal and we are taken to a particular destination.
I was thinking you just open a portal into something really dangerous.
I was thinking something similar to David, where whether it's leftover Fey magic or active Fey who are actually here, something messes up the magic of the portal, and we end up where you want us to be.
Yeah. Okay. So love all that. I will take dice. I will take trails just as a general understanding of like almost at like a psychic level, like where to find things and how to find places, informing the magic. I think that's really good. There might also be something in your equipment that like you actually have to like use to like draw the door with, maybe even as another idea. But in any case, one light die is all good to go. Devil's bargains. What do we think?
I think that no matter what.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll keep mine simple. I think no matter what, there's a guardian of some sort waiting on the other side.
I think that no matter what, since we are the playthings of the Fae in this place, I think you circumventing this maze interior annoys whatever Fae presence is here.
I think no matter what, because your magic is touching whatever's in this place, it kind of feeds into your magic and you end up a little fate touched.
Interesting. I like being a little Fae touched. I also like annoying the Fae. Both of these are good options. Yeah, I'll go with a little bit. I get a little Fae inside me, I guess, I'll take that one. Who knows what's gonna happen?
I like it. Go ahead and we'll just call that just make that a condition, Fey touched. And dice risk, it has to be a dark because of the ritual, so do a risk 2 light 1 dark. It is a 6 dark. Your ruin goes up, but you do succeed. Go ahead and describe what the ritual looks like.
Yeah, I think I feel like normally this would be done with like chalk or something like that, but I have this idea that Nevin's like a little bit perpetually dirty from like dirt and trees and stuff like that. And so I just kind of like rub my hands together and then like a child paint a very childlike like drawing of a door just on whatever surface is like nearby. And I do that and I stand back and I wait and nothing happens at first. And I'm like, oh, I forgot the handle. And I go up and I like do a little circle and then I just like push on it and I feel like it just kind of disintegrates and we can see into sort of whatever it's going to open up into.
I love it. And as the 3 of you pass through the door, your Fey touched state is represented by did you have tattoos before?
Maybe. I feel like I hadn't thought about it.
We'll decide.
Probably.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's say you had some tattoos. I think your tattoos are starting to glow with the blue of the Rime Palace. And your ruin's going up just because you are being drawn into the Rime Palace, into the Fey magic. But you step into where you intended to be. You're at the one end of the Bridge of Horns. You can see the bridge laid out in front of you. You're standing at the sort of like little entryway of the tower that the bridge, one of the towers that the bridge connects. And you are helpfully on the side that has the 2 massive elder stag horns jutting out ornamentally at the end, on this end of the bridge. They have a similar blue glow, a luminescence, and they're carved with symbols all along, and they're quite big. They're like a rack, like each horn is like the length of a man. Osto, what do you do? Or
I think
whoever wants to-
Osto would probably look at Nevin for direction, since Nevin's the one who pointed them out originally. But he would be like, "Are these the horns? Should we?" They're quite large, but your back is still open.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we can take at least one.
Editha says, "Don't be a fool. One isn't enough. You can get far more money for the set."
Before you touch them, though, you can decide. I'll let you decide how many you want, but before you touch them, let me try to make sure there's nothing attached.
When you say attached, what do you mean by that?
Basically, she wants to try to figure out what the symbols mean. Is if you touch it, does it trigger something?
Oh, I see. I mean, I don't even have to, I'm not even going to give you a roll on this. I mean, clearly whoever, the magic of this place and whoever owns this place is not going to be happy with you taking these two elder stag horns. That's fairly self-evident, I think. I will tell you though, as you sort of get closer to them, the cloud of gray blue moths gets very agitated. So
I think the moths are guarding them. I don't think we can just grab them.
Yes, we just, and it'll be fine.
Well, monkeys aren't supposed to be able to bite through bone, but here we are.
That's a good point, actually.
But Esfahan, you have your ability to protect a space. We could protect ourselves while
Aditha says,
taking-
"I'm a very good shot, but even a moth might be too small for me. And in any case, there appear to be hundreds of them."
Or we could go on the offensive, and I could try to poison them.
Well, say no more. I always favor the offensive when possible.
You are very knowledgeable in poison now because of when you got poisoned.
Yes, thank you, Nevin.
Esfahan, I think this is a very interesting approach. How will this poison work? I mean, what do you intend to create here? What do you intend to do?
So I have a ritual called Vapor, which is a noxious
Oh.
cloud fills a small area.
Oh, great. I love
And
that.
so basically I want to kind of have the vapor where the moths are kind of pushing them back as a sort of barrier between where the antlers are and where the moths will end up.
It might even kill them, right? I mean, who knows? Great. I love it. It's a risk roll. David, Alicia, what could go wrong?
Instead of harming or stopping the moths, it might just make them angry.
I think that there's the possibility that there's a swarm of moths we can't see. Like you think you've got them all, but like setting this off, they're going to come from another direction.
I'll keep it simple. I think just a noxious cloud, like it doesn't go, it just like stays where you're at. There's no breeze to carry it. Let's have dice. Do you have a relevant skill here, Esfahan? Or a piece of equipment, I suppose.
Does the darkness of my thoughts count?
No. Maybe find a piece of equipment that can help you blow the cloud or otherwise get the cloud where you need it to be.
I saw bellows and I also saw a canvas, which I could just kind of wave frantically.
I think a bellows is probably fine if you want to add that to your drop down or pick that from the drop down. Second light die is a devil's bargain. Who has a thought for devil's bargain? I've got mine. No matter what, there is a queen moth hanging on the wall on the tower behind you.
I think no matter what, the bodies of the moths that go through the smoke, through the vapor, they do die, but they hit the bridge and they kind of like explode a little, and so the bridge becomes weakened, maybe even on the verge of breaking.
These are two very horrible devil's bargains so far, which is the point. Alicia, do you have a bargain?
I think that no matter what, the moths, whether they're sort of still moving or dying, move in a sort of dance-like fashion. And I think that you're compelled to dance with the moths no matter what.
Sounds horrifying.
I kind of love that.
You can pick that one if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. Espen hasn't danced in a while.
You got 2 light, 1 dark. Go ahead and take it away. Roll. That is a 2 dark. It is high, which means you have to stop. However, one of your companions, if you're willing to expose yourself, can roll help, and your light die becomes part of the pool, which might be higher than the 2. So who wants to?
I think Osto could make a good argument for helping, because Esfahan has like activated her magic, and I think that stimulates our connection via the Star Bowl.
Oh, I like that
and
a lot.
So
yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead and roll a weak point. If you get a 2, your ruin goes up.
Hey, it's 4.
Okay, so it's a success now. That's good. It's a success now, and your highest is now a light 4, which means, Esfahan, you can add a dark die and roll all of them again if you wish, or at least your 2 light dice and the 2 dark dice, if you want to try for a 6. The complication is going to be, you are going to do the dance. I think the complication is going to be that in doing the dance, you miss that part of the bridge is constructing itself into a guardian. Or just that's, let me rephrase that. Part of the bridge is constructing itself into a guardian. You can add a dark die and try to roll them all 2 light, 2 dark to avoid that. But you otherwise get rid of the moths.
That, but I don't trust it. I'll just take this current.
Just mild, a little bit of flavor text. I think Osto's helping is it's a partner dance.
Oh, good.
And so
I like it. That's very good. So at first you're dancing among the moths. Do I understand that correctly? And then the vapor is somehow coming and killing them. Like, what does this look like? What's happening here? Espen.
I was thinking it more like I start creating the vapor and the moths start buzzing agitatedly in that sort of dance pattern. So then she feels compelled to dance. Osto, who is also connected, also feels compelled to dance. And so they do a pair dance as the vapor begins to thicken and thicken. And then at the last twirl kind of thing, they use the canvas to blow the vapor.
Yeah, I love that. That's really great. I love that's really beautiful. Nevin, you can grab the 2 elder stag horns while they're doing that. I will tell you that they are worth 1 gold each or 3 gold together. And so make that note when you add them to your found equipment. And finally, as you remove the 2 elder stag horns, as Esfahan and Osto become sort of like, you get out of whatever they were doing, their delirium, their fugue state of dancing, you see that a large guardian made of antlers has formed. They are they're pretty big. I'd say about 12 feet tall. Antlers just vaguely smashed together in a humanoid form with 2 very large, sharp, like hooks that are like kind of like weapons, 2 bony hooks. And it moves with my my favorite sound. It sounds like a rain stick as the antlers clatter together as it moves towards you all. This is a combat. It is an endurance 10, and everyone has to say how they're vulnerable and roll a weak point, please.
I mean, I have elder horns, like 1 under each arm, I feel like at the moment. So that's how I'm vulnerable.
Go ahead and roll weak, Devin. All
I think
right,
Osto's still doing a little shimmy.
okay.
Like he hasn't quite shaken the dance yet. So he's off. His footing is a little bit off for fighting.
Yeah, I love it.
And I have to roll twice, right?
You gotta roll for Editha as well. Yeah. 5 is a bad number so far.
And did I roll that just now, or is that an earlier week roll?
That was your
Four.
help roll earlier.
Oh yeah. So then 5 is a very bad number.
Well, you have to get a different number for her. So roll again.
Oh, do I? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 5 and 6.
Jeez, the 2 dice we want most.
Yeah, the 2 you want the most. Espen, how are you vulnerable?
I think Esfahan is still on that. It's been a very long time since she danced, period. Once she left, she didn't do that often, even at festivals or whatever. So she's still kind of riding that dance high, and she's a little bit flustered from it. Like, she just started dancing. Why?
Yeah, I love it. Roll weak. All right, so we've got 5, 6, and 3 as weak points. It's combat 4. Osto, take it away.
Yeah. Would it be all right to apply a ritual to this combat?
You can do
Or
the
is that only
ritual.
for-
You can do the ritual. It's a risk roll, and
Mhm.
Unless you want to use the ritual like as combat, which case it's just fiction.
Okay.
You can use it beforehand though to reduce the thing's endurance. That you can certainly do, but it's a risk roll to do it.
Okay. It might just be fiction then.
Okay.
I'm imagining like channeling the spectral bowl, the yoke ritual, and like he gets like sort of like spectral bull horns, and I think he just wants to like charge this thing. I think he wants to like try to knock it off the bridge if possible.
Mm-hmm.
He has seen that things do fall down here. We saw that when we arrived, so hopefully that would be what would happen to this thing too.
Yeah, I love it. Let's get the combat roll. It's 4.
No whammies. Well, we got
6
it.
and 5. You win. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Lots of hits happening
Mhm.
around the way. I think everybody but Esfahan is taking at least 1 hit. Osto, I think you're taking 2, correct?
Mhm.
But you will destroy this thing. Osto, you get first. You get first go at it. What does it look like?
I think Osto charges into the middle of this thing. We get some horn on horn action as he clashes with the body of this creature, of this guardian. And I think he just kind of like breaks through a part of it, like sort of like takes a chunk out of it. Antler pieces clatter to the icy ground of the bridge. And like I think kind of like when you have two in like some samurai film, like two samurai pass each other and they both show wounded or whatever. Similarly, like Osto has, or actually I think I might use my amulet of protection. So where Osto would be wounded, you see like a red slash, but then his amulet glows a bright white, and then it all is fine, all is good, all is okay.
Fantastic. Esfahan, keep it going.
Because of the channeling of magic that Osto did, Esfahan now also feels the urge to charge. So she goes in with her knives, and after Osto and the creature pass each other, she goes in and she kind of tries to whack it at the ankles. And I think it kind of gains a limp to match hers.
Nice, I love it. Nevin, finish the thing off.
So Nevin, never to be left behind in a trend, sees everyone else charging and has the two elder horns anyways, sort of one under each arm. So just kind of like shrugs and then like head down, full on charges towards these things, kind of stabbing them with the elder horn and trying to knock them back. However, I do get damaged. I feel like it's like I'm using my shield, my wooden shield to protect me, but it's like accidental. Like it just happens to be like on my body where I was gonna get stabbed.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. The thing busts up and crumbles enough. Let's see if it left behind a magic jewel that holds it together and gives it power. Esfahan, roll a gold 10, please. It did. It is a blue jewel, probably a sapphire, worth, it's a good size and it's worth 2 gold. Whoever wants to hold on to that, put it in your gear.
If Osto and Nevin don't mind, Esfahan is going to pick it up and put it in her thing.
Sounds
My
good.
hands are full anyways.
Indeed, indeed. So we took some hits, but a fairly good haul in terms of treasure coming out to the Antler Bridge. The Antler Bridge is no longer passable. You can go back into the tower though, or you go into the tower that it leads to. And that tower opens up into a really similar kind of space. In fact, I would say it's practically identical to the entrance, the other entrance. It is a sort of cold, glowing blue tunnel. And you wander for a bit. At a certain point, the coldness of this place like drops your core body temperature enough to where you're kind of like sleepwalking, like you're kind of going in and out a little bit. Occasionally you find yourself separated from each other, just wandering through these glassy halls, these fog banks, these chambers of lace. But you all come back together. This palace has very clear designs on you, puts you all back together, and spits you out into the Hall of Games. The Hall of Games.
I don't like the sound of that.
The Hall of Games is a long hall full of game tables, many of them covered with pieces made of delicate glass figurines. The floor is made of alternating squares of white marble and black obsidian. In the center of the hall is a grand game table, atop which is a man dressed in very old-fashioned clothing, and he has a crystal collar around his neck. And he's just finished setting up a game board on the table he's at. And he looks up as the three of you step in and he says, "Oh, welcome to the Hall of Games. Can I interest you in a challenge?" And I think we will stop a little early today. We'll stop there. Let's go straight to star. We're making good progress. Let's go to stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed about the session. Wishes are things you hope to see next time. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Definite star. I love that we have finally established to some degree what Starbolt does and seen it in action. An attached wish is I want to see it more. It's so cool. I love that we are racking up conditions that are a little more than just mundane things. It feels like it could be a running thing as opposed to, you know, like a cold or a concussion or something.
Yeah,
Really-
I actually realized, can you clear conditions in Trophy? Because I feel like I
Yes.
don't want to clear these conditions.
Yeah,
I'm like, no,
I
let's
mean,
keep them.
So if you have a household, you can clear them after the incursion if you have a household. If not, you can't clear them that way. Or you can just clear them in the fiction. Like you can say, oh, I bandage up my leg or whatever, right? And that'll clear it. But otherwise, yeah, but you can keep them too. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. They can affect you. So the new rules, they didn't used to have a mechanical effect. They used to just be strictly fictional positioning. They do have a new rule. If during a risk roll, the condition would hinder you, you have to add dark die to your pool. So that is a thing to be aware of. But, you know, as long as they're not hindering you too much and you enjoy their positive effect, you can keep them around as long as you wish. Off a star, well, one little particular moment star, I absolutely love Nevin rushing in with the two Elder Stag horns in echoing what the two other people did. I thought that was just really great. It felt very like on point for that character. I also like that we got to see like a side of Nevin that was like actually shows that Nevin is actually a much more like subtle and capable character than what you would seem to believe initially. I enjoyed everyone's like skepticism of Editha. I thought that was really fun. That was really enjoyable. I love Editha as a character. I've run this several times, and Editha is always a very fun character to be in the game. And the way the party interacts with her is an understated but central feature of the story in some ways. And I love this incursion. This incursion is really fun. The Rime Palace is just a really, really enjoyable incursion. Yeah, but everyone's doing a great job so far. I'm just really, really enjoying the vibe and the party cohesion of these three characters. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I really start for the bone ship. That's very cool. And then like the filling with the smoke. It was a really I love the color and scent like sort of like questions.
That's not actually in the incursion. I always add that, but the smoke is part of the incursion, but the posing of the questions is not. But I'm glad you like that though.
I really like that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I have, oh my god, I just had them and now I've forgotten what they were. Stars for it being cold because it speaks to my Canadian heart that it's like frozen. I love that. Oh, I thought we had some really good devil's bargains this game. So like star for those devil's bargains. I really liked those. And yeah, I think I agree. Star for this like little party cohesion that I think is happening, which is fun. Having already done one, it's fun to like get into those character connections a little more.
Oh, I stand corrected. I forgot that we rewrote most of these incursions for the final book, and this colored smoke thing has been added to the new incursion. So I guess Jesse watched some of my APs and decided to make that an official part of it. Sorry, wishes. I really, I love the Hall of Games. I can't wait to have that scene next time. I also love what comes after the Hall of Games. That's what comes after the Hall of Games is like far and away the central feature of this incursion. So I'm really excited to do that. And yeah, I just want to keep seeing this this very, very good group and story. It's a very like it has like a jocularity and a high adventure and high fantasy quality that Trophy doesn't frequently have. And so I'm kind of enjoying that. I mean, I love the sort of like grimy, gritty Trophy as well, but this is a fun way of doing it too.
Oh yeah, wish. I hope that this time we actually get to what the heart of the actual incursion is.
Yeah, you didn't really, you kind of did a little, you got close in the last one, but you didn't quite get to the real juicy middle of that one. But you might someday, who knows?
I have a wish that I feel like I just decided based on like this little scene went. I want to see us collect as much stuff as we can from this place. Like I just want to like leave with a whole.
That's your job. That's literally all you're here to do. You have no other like, there's no like MacGuffin in the middle of this palace. You're here to grab their shit and leave. That is basically it.
So I feel like that's been like a little more subtle. We've been like knowledge based, but I feel like, you know, we got a good haul on this one, and I'm really interested to see like how that's gonna play out in terms of like, let's just take it and go.
The thing is, what I think is really interesting is like you got to get back to the ship somehow, because how are you leaving the Gossamer Void otherwise? Like it's totally unclear how you're getting back if you don't get back to the ship. So that's, yeah. I like that there's this like, we'll just worry about that later. we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Oh wait, the bridge is destroyed. Yeah, you know, it's like that kind of thing. So
yeah, that's a problem for future Osto. It's such a good line.
I feel like I haven't had a chance to show his eagerness as much. Like Osto likes doing this. Like there's a cool frozen palace that we get to explore and steal stuff from. That's a blast. Except when it's not. A wish for me. I'm super excited by the games room. Like Fae shenanigans is one of my like favorite subgenres of anything you can plug it into, and so like a Fae plus games equals this will be a very good bad time. So I'm very excited for that. And then also, yeah, I'm also excited to dig into more of the Starbull stuff. This is like the perfect place to pull in some of that. So I think that's good. I'm starting to wonder, we haven't fleshed out much of the swirling court, and to me, like using the word court at all, like kind of always feels a little bit Fae to me. And so I wonder if some of that will come in during this. So I'd be kind of excited to see that.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
hoping
really
it does.
especially now I feel like I dropped that like the moths are dancing, like maybe we like can pull something into that.
Just wait. The central feature of this incursion is so like on point with all that. You'll be very delighted. I mean, horrified because it's dangerous as fuck, but also delighted, I think. So yeah. Fabulous. Any other stars or wishes? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.